guys,
What's going on?
and welcome to another episode of Dead Curious.
And today we've got something a little different, but still very exciting. At least I'm excited to be doing this one. I can't wait. I can't wait.
And if you've been listening to our other episodes, I'm pretty sure you know what's coming. We've been talking about it for a while, and we keep on saying how excited we are about it.
We are going to be talking about our own spooky encounters.
Yeah, so creepy encounters goes back in our family, both sides. I mean, our dad's experienced some stuff. Mom's first apartment with a flatmate was terribly haunted, but I think she should send us her story. Maybe we can share it with everybody.
Mm,
So today we're going to be sharing some of our own experiences. And this will be an introduction to us sharing stories that have been sent in to us. I think it's only fair that, we share, open ourselves up a little bit to our listeners
I agree.
before we expect them to give us give up these stories.
Well, we have had many, many encounters. We've stayed in many different houses before. So I think today we are going to just start off by telling you some of the stories that happened in our mother's house.
So Jess and Mom still live together.
We've been living in this house. Well, Mom's been living in this house for what, like 18 years or
Yeah.
more? So there's a lot to tell.
Yeah. And I used to stay there before, obviously. And I too had some interesting things happen, but I think you and Mom more so than myself. Our mom is quite spiritually sensitive.
Since she was a child.
But what I'm trying to say is that I think maybe it's genetics because our mother's very open to this sort of thing and she can sense things quite easily and she's experienced so many things. And I too started experiencing things, funny enough, going through puberty. But hearing mom's stories and stuff, I did not want that for myself. And I'm a huge believer in that you only experience what you allow yourself to experience. And the moment I started, noticing things like mom would, I freaked out. I was like, oh no, 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 hell no. But you and mom seem to have such a thick skin, like nothing bothers you.
I was actually thinking about mentioning this earlier. I think some of my reactions to the things that happen to me are quite anticlimactic, and I'll tell you some of the things that have happened where I probably should have been a bit more freaked out, but I kind of just shrug these things off, and it sounds so bad, but I'm used to it.
Yeah.
And people are always so like confused, like, why are you still living there? Like, how can you just be so calm about it? And I mean, we've experienced so many small, small happenings that when something kind of big and actually scary happens, you kind of have just become so desensitized to it.
Mm.
So I apologize that some of my stories may be scary, but that my reaction does not seem appropriate.
No, I believe no. I actually think that that's a good thing. I think that fear is what feeds these things. So if you don't fear them, you don't feed them, you don't give them that power. So I think the best response to have is a non-response.
True, that's true. So, who do you want to go first?
Well, maybe I will go first because, like I said, the moment I started experiencing things in the house, I immediately I very consciously shut myself off to that sort of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll go first, but also I wanted to start off with a little bit of the history of the house.
Sure.
Okay, so the house is actually set on one property that's been split in two. One is a business side, and then one is the little flatlet that we used to live in. Well, my mom and Jess still stay there. Before this, how this property was split, it was one big house, and where the flat now is used to be like a big double garage. And the previous owner of the property apparently hung himself in the garage. The place where he hung himself would have been just outside what was our bedroom, which is your bedroom now. I don't know what happened in the house before him. I don't know if there was things that happened there that caused him to commit suicide. Or I think the correct term is complete suicide. Yeah, so obviously that has left some bad vibes in the house, and the activity is most definitely the strongest in your bedroom. Like I said, my experiences in that particular house are pretty tame. It was just things like that weird feeling you get that like someone's watching you,
Hmm.
you know? And it's not just like a weird feeling. It's like I would go to bed at night and I would literally wake up like I'm busy having a very pleasant dream. I'm really deep in sleep, and then all of a sudden something would wake me up. And when I got up, I still remember I would get up and like look at the direction of whatever it is woke me up was, and I wasn't always in the same place. It's kind of like if someone walks into your room, and then you wake up and you instinctively look in that direction to see, oh, who's come in. Like I would do that. Sometimes it was at the cupboard, sometimes it was at the door, but I'd always wait, or sometimes at the window. I'd always wake up looking for this thing, and there was nothing there. But
Can
like you said, you would kind of get used to it. So it's like eventually it wasn't a weird thing for me anymore. It just happened most nights.
okay, so of course we like to tell each other our experiences and ghost stories and stuff like that, but I don't think we've ever like gone into that much detail with these
Mm-mm.
things. Like I know that you'd felt that kind of thing, like something watching you, but you'd never told me like which areas in the house. And I I got goosebumps when you were telling me because those are the three spots where I used to feel something watching me in our room. Like I wrote it down. The
Oh
two
yeah.
main places were our door, especially if it was open, and in front of my bed by the closet door. And to this day, sometimes I like nothing really freaks me out. Like I don't get that intense feeling. But
Mm.
sometimes like I'll just look at the window, like I'll look at it and I'll be like, nah, I need to close my curtains. So that just freaked me out because we'd never discussed this before. So I'm like, oh my word, you felt the
Yeah.
same place, the presence in the same places as I did.
Yeah, it's weird. We never actually did go into. I mean, also, I I didn't want to talk about it in the house. Like I said,
Mm.
I don't think you should pay these things acknowledgement. So good luck. Also, I never wanted to freak you out,
Oh,
especially when you
wow.
were little. The worst one for me though was something woke me up quite violently. It was when I was in university, maybe about a year before I moved out, that it got really bad for me. I remember waking up like I was facing the wall, but I woke up because something was behind me. And then I turned around and I looked to the center of the room, and like there was nothing there, but I knew I was looking at it. It was like the weirdest thing. But funny enough, in that moment, I had a real, like, not really a sense of calm, but more than fear, it was more of like protection. I was like,
Mm.
I don't know, I woke up and I think my fight or flight is quite fighty. Um, so my initial response to these things, whenever they do happen to me, especially if I'm sleeping, if something wakes me up in a fright, then I go in attack mode. So I woke up and I saw this thing, and I remember thinking, no, and then just sort of being like, actually, I'm going to sleep, and I'm not acknowledging this thing. It's going away.
Mm.
Around about the same time, and this was the oh yes, also disembodied voices, which I know you and Mom have spoken about. Like
Oh,
you'd
yes.
go to bed and then you'd wake up because there's always like a man and woman talking. It like kind of sounds like they're talking over your head. But I was very much asleep, and by the time I woke up, it had stopped. So like I have heard voices, but it was like maybe once or twice. waking up to nothing there. But the last thing that ever happened to me, and the worst thing that ever happened to me was, when you're sleeping and then you dream that you're falling, and then when you wake up, it's like you fall in your bed.
Yeah. Oh, all the time.
One day I woke up and I was in the bed and the bed fell to the ground.
Were we
I
in the
think I
house
was.
as well?
It was the time I was staying with mom and you were staying with dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The reason I knew it was levitating, the bed fell to the ground and I could actually felt like
Mm.
the feet. I was awake the moment the feet hit the ground.
Hmm.
It wasn't super high, but it was high enough for me to feel the drop and to hit the ground.
I don't think I don't,
I, and I have woken up to my bed shake. Like I thought I felt like my bed shaking, but then I woke up and it like stopped.
mm.
And then I was like, okay, was I asleep or was I awake? Like, and then you kind of like chalk it up to a dream because you're really tired and you go back to sleep.
Have you ever told me that story before? I don't think so, right?
I've kind of made a point not to tell you any of these stories because you're still living there.
Well, clearly nothing really bothers me. So,
The only stuff I've told you is when you've told me the same thing has happened.
uh, I mean, you can tell me this stuff.
Oh, I'm
It's what
now.
I'm here for. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the oldest sister. I still want to protect
Oh,
you, you know?
thanks, though.
No, it's just you and mom and dad actually. You're so you're like it's like water off a duck's back. You guys are just so unfazed by the supernatural. It's like I'll be fighty if someone's gonna break in the house. I just don't get fighty with the supernatural biz. I don't know. I think because I have nothing physically in front of me to attack, my brain just frazzles.
I think the reason for that is if you're looking at something from like a spiritual perspective or whatever, if there is some kind of presence that's trying to hurt you, it's the same principle as only seeing things if you're allowed to. Things can only harm you if you're allowed to.
Mm.
So my reaction of just being like, ugh, whatever, is the reason why nothing is actually able to affect me in a way that will scare me anymore because I know that if I don't allow it to scare me, then it doesn't have the power to hurt me.
I think your and mom's approach in particular is very different to mine. You've overcome it through acceptance. You accept that these things are happening and you don't let it bother you. I don't accept that it's happening. I immediately, like my mind wants to reject
Mm.
it. It's kind of like, you put those blinders on a
Mm.
horse. It's like I feel like I've put blinders on so that I only see what I want to see. Like I know the stuff's there, but I will not acknowledge it. Anyway, I want to hear about your encounters now.
Okay,
I've shared mine.
okay. Um, oh, you can just hear how much I'm enjoying doing this episode. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible how happy I am.
As long as you're not fearful.
Oh, not at all, and I love it. I'm not going to speak about in general. Like I'll start in one area and then tell you all of the things that happened there. Then I'll move on to my room and
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I'll first start with the kitchen living room area. If I walk out of my bedroom, I'll walk directly into the living room and I can see into the kitchen. I'm one of those people who wake up frequently to go to the bathroom during the night. And when I walked out of the room, I could immediately feel something looking at me from the kitchen. It's like you said, where when you know exactly where the area, um, what area the presence is at, you can feel it coming from a specific direction. But for
Mm.
me, it wasn't just in like a specific area. It was also at like a certain height. So for me, it felt
Yes.
like it was
Yes.
a grown man-like figure. So I would feel this thing looking at me, but again, it's not even like something's just looking at you or watching you. It's like this intense stare. And it
Yes.
follows you as well. Like you like I can feel while I'm walking the area of my body that it's looking at is different. So I can see, it's like I can feel when it's looking directly at my face, and as I'm walking past, I can feel it looking at the side of my face and behind me as I enter the bathroom
You know what? I think I've had that too.
from the kitchen area. Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Ugh,
Oh my word. I think I've had that too. Sorry, carry
that's
on.
all right. Um, so that I would kind of do that thing, where you pretend you don't know that it's there, you kind of just do your own thing. So I
Mm.
would kind of do that, but like deep down, I would feel this intense, like, holy crap, what am I supposed to do if this thing like comes at me or whatever? Yeah, that's basically all that happened with that. Nothing ever really tried to do anything to me in the living room. It was just that intense, and it's like it feels like a malicious type of presence, like it doesn't like you.
Mm.
I never really got that
Yes.
feeling like it's about to attack me or like it's going to hurt me, but you can feel it doesn't like that you're there. And to be quite honest, I would sometimes feel that during the day as well. It wasn't even only at night.
Mm. I think I actually only felt that during the day, to be
Really?
honest. I don't think I had that
Maybe
at
because you were
night.
sleeping.
Well, at night, no, I think at night yeah, well, everyone's either at home, so you're kind of distracted, or you can chalk it up to someone else's looking
Mm,
at you, or you go to bed, so you're sleeping. I only think I'd feel it when I was at home
mm,
alone during the day.
yeah. Moving on to my bedroom, many, many things have happened in this room. Um, so I also felt like something was looking at me from our room, from either the closet area or by our bedroom door. Now, the thing about that is that I think they were actually two different things. And it's so gross, but I'm going
Hmm.
to explain why. So, the one by our
Okay.
bedroom door, for me, feels like it was the same presence as the thing in the kitchen. It just had like the same
Okay.
vibe, and I felt like it was like a taller person peering through the door or whatever if it was open.
Ugh.
The thing by the closet,
Mm.
and if I'm being honest, I sometimes still feel it now, feels like it's either like a child height thing or if something is crouching down and peering over the bed.
Oh, ew.
Yes. And
Ew.
bear in mind, I'm sitting inside my closet, so yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's like a big F you
So
to
hilarious.
whatever was trying to scare me. But anyway, I always sleep with my bed against the wall. It's kind of just a thing of habit
Mm.
now, but it's also because I get really hot, so I like to press my back against the wall to cool myself down. But it also doubled as like a protection thing, so your back isn't facing whatever's looking at you. Now I don't really care about that. I mean, my back is exposed to my open room 90% of the night. So,
Yuck.
but like even now, I'll wake up in the night and I'll turn around and I'll be like, okay, something doesn't feel great. And if one of the cats wake up and start staring at a certain point, a certain area in the room, then I'll be like, okay, this is not cool. But then I'll just turn around and go back to sleep
Mm.
because I'm like, ugh, whatever.
When your cats do that stary thing, it freaks me out because then I know they see it too.
I also saw kind of like a shadow figure thing, but it wasn't a person. It was like a cat size, the size of an adult cat,
Really?
but it couldn't have been a cat. It moved so quickly. You know, like when you see that shadow move fast, like out of the corner of your eye type of thing. It was
Yeah.
like that, but I was looking directly at it. It wasn't out of the corner of my eye, but it moved quickly like that. And we actually have a theory, and it's kind of a nice one. That was not long after Jack died, my cat. She was a
Mm.
year old when she was hit by a car for the second time. And I think it was probably like 2 weeks to a month after she died. And it was around the height and color that she would be. She was a black cat. So we think that was just like her passing through for the last time. Um,
Oh my word.
yeah.
You never told me this.
Well, I'm still sensitive about her, so even now I want to cry.
Mm.
So
I'm
that's
sorry.
okay. But I mean, that didn't feel like anything scary. I didn't see it and I was like, oh, what the hell was this? It was kind of just like, okay, I saw this thing, and then I was thinking about it later, and then I realized it's about the same size as her, and I was thinking about her a lot around that time.
Aw,
So I think that was probably her passing through. I'm hoping that was. Otherwise, I don't know what's going on in the house. But yeah,
that's so sweet.
I'm going to say that was her coming to say goodbye before she goes wherever pets go. Another thing that happened is what you mentioned about a man and a woman speaking in our room.
Mm.
And it happened many, many, many times. It's not just like it happened once or twice. It would happen multiple times. I would be asleep and then I would wake up, not because I hear people talking, I would just wake up. I haven't even opened my eyes yet, but like as soon as I'm conscious again, I hear either a man or a woman saying, she's asleep or is she sleeping? It would be right by my face.
When I heard it as well, it was right by my face. Like, but above me, as if someone was standing over me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh no.
And I would usually hear the woman saying it, and I always thought it was only a woman, but I had the
Mm.
feeling that she was saying it to a man. Again, it's not that thing that you can
Mm.
explain, it's just somehow it's something you know.
Yes.
Um, and she would be the one that says she's asleep, like she's telling the man that I'm asleep. When I heard
Yes.
the male voice saying it, he was asking if I'm asleep, and I know I had that feeling that he was asking the woman. So
Yeah.
and it freaked me out because why the heck do they want to know if I'm asleep? What are they planning to do? But nothing ever happened. I
Just before you were telling your story now, before you said what you heard them saying, I just remembered a little bit of what happened to me because it only happened once or twice. But I heard her, like I woke up hearing a man talking,
hmm.
but the only thing I remember being said was the woman saying, "You're going to wake her up."
Oh my, oh, goosebumps. I love it. I told mom about this. I think it was sometime maybe last year. I don't know. Um, I think it was the first time I'd mentioned that someone that I'd heard someone say she's sleeping or is she asleep?
Hmm.
And she freaked out because she said she had heard the exact same thing before as well.
Mom's also heard
Yes,
it.
she said those exact words.
Oh my gosh, no way. Oh my gosh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Jessie, are you going to be able to sleep
Oh,
tonight?
absolutely. I'll have my chamomile tea. I'll sleep like a baby.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know mom heard
Yeah.
it. Oh my flip, Jessica.
As she and mom said that she heard those exact words. I told her what I'd heard the woman say, and she said it was exactly word for word the same thing she'd heard as well.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So all three of us have
Mm-mm.
heard these people talking about us sleeping.
I thought I was dreaming. I just thought I was dreaming.
I At first I thought it was probably part of a dream, but then it happened so often. And I used to keep my eyes closed in case they thought I was awake because I wanted to hear what they said next and I wanted to know what they would do, but nothing ever happened.
Because you just think that you're going crazy. Like when it happens to you, like you don't say anything because you feel like either either you're overreacting because you're asleep, or maybe you're going crazy and you don't really want anyone to know until you figure
Mm.
out if you're going crazy or not. And if it's something supernatural, you're so afraid people aren't going to believe you anyway.
Especially if you're a kid. I mean, if a child was like, I
Well,
heard someone
me,
say I'm sleeping, then be like, okay, cool, great imagination you have.
and not only that, like me being the older sister, I didn't want to freak you out.
I didn't want to tell you because I thought you would tell me I'm lying.
When have I ever said that you're
I
lying?
didn't say I didn't say that you did say I was lying, but it's like we
No,
just
but
said now. If a kid comes to you and says that, you
oh,
assume it's their imagination or like it's something dumb. I thought that's what you would think because I didn't know you were experiencing this
oh my
either.
God.
I thought I was the only
Oh
one.
my word.
So something else that used to happen, I think it was just before I started university. I And I don't know if this can count as like any paranormal experience, but I can't explain why I would do this. It happened 3 times. So I would be asleep and then I would wake up and I I'm completely conscious. I know what I'm thinking and doing at this point, but I would sit up, turn to the wall, and I would hit my head against the wall. It happened 3 separate occasions. It's not like you get up and you're dizzy because you've just woken up. I would be 100% awake, sit up, face the wall, and hit my head against the wall. And that confused the heck out of me. And I could feel myself thinking, what the heck are you doing? And then
Do you think
I
you were
don't think I would
possessed?
possess. That's why I don't know what to classify this as, but it still confuses me to this day. Why would I do that? That just doesn't make sense. But anyway.
Oh my word, you're such a creeper, Jay.
You didn't even mention my sleepwalking things.
Oh my gosh, yes. I've mentioned in a previous episode that growing up, sharing a bedroom with Jess was some freaky shit. She was a sleep talker of note. Like most nights, she would talk, but it's not just like talking in her sleep. She would sit up and always do something weird. Most of the time, Jess, you would think that you don't have any clothes on. Like you'd always be looking for an item of
Yeah.
clothing, like you were looking for your shirt or you're looking for a button. And I would have to get out of bed and put your hand on the button and be like, here, like your button is here, go back to sleep. Or you go, where's my shirt? I'm like, you're holding it. Like I would be talking to you, but and you'd be looking down at yourself, but it was so weird because I could see that you're not seeing what I see.
I
Like you looked down and you saw your bare chest, and when you were looking for a button, it's like you were honestly looking for something. And the worst was the one with the cat. Misty had just run away. Like no, actually, no, it was no. At this point, she'd been gone for like a year or something. And then one day you woke up and I still had my headphones on. I was busy listening to Corn. Had my headphones on, busy listening to music, and then I heard something through my earphones, and it's someone calling. So I thought maybe you need to go to the bathroom, or maybe I don't know. But like I took my headphones off, and there you were sitting up staring in the middle of the floor. And I always got such a fright because I mean you had that porcelain doll
Yeah.
face, which is really cute but really creepy in the middle of the night. So like I just see you and you have that weird, like your eyes are bloodshot red and you look into the middle of the floor and you're going, here, Misty, psst, 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 come, kitty, come.
Good.
It was so creepy. And then I was like, Misty's dead. Go to sleep.
That's awful.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't think I was that stern with you, but I was like, I was so creeped the flip out that I did not know how to respond because I thought that you were talking to the ghost of our cat.
Oh,
And I literally sat there watching you, hoping you would stop because I didn't know how to address this. Like, how can I tell you that she's not there? I don't know.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, like, and sometimes I'd be asleep. I'd be fast asleep, and then I would wake up because you're talking or looking for
Yeah.
something. And you'd be sitting straight up in the middle of the night and you sit. And the worst thing is, I've seen you do it. So you're like sleeping on your back or something, and you literally rise up like a mummy. You know that, like, like you do that, the sit up. And then what would happen is, so like you're sleeping, you sit up, and then you immediately start doing whatever random task you decided to do that night, like whether it be looking for your button, looking for clothes, calling the cat. It was and you would never believe me. Like getting you back to sleep, like you were so adamant that I'm out of my mind and you've got to find this thing.
I remember one of those experiences. It's that one where I was looking for my shirt. I don't remember the part about waking up. I remember just being awake, and I remember feeling my chest and just feeling the skin. And I tried to grab at my shirt, and all I could feel was my skin. And I remember you telling me that I'm wearing my shirt and that I need to go to sleep. And I remember thinking that you are like a psycho. Why do you want me to sleep without a shirt on? Like, are you blind? Can't you see I'm half naked? Like, I honestly did not see or feel my shirt.
I could tell that you didn't believe me, but I could also see that you weren't seeing what I
Yeah,
see. Yeah, it was the whole thing was just creepy. It was so creepy. I'm so glad that I don't know if you still do that, but I'm glad I don't share a room with you that I
I
have
hope
to see
not.
it.
I mean, when my friends sleep over, I do warn them that I may or may not do something like that. I still warn people to this day. And I say, just tell me to
Okay.
go to sleep and we'll look for it in the morning and it should be good.
But I know that that's nothing supernatural because it happened
Yeah.
to me once. So it was a sleepover at Cherry's house, and a whole bunch of us from school were sleeping over to celebrate her birthday. And I didn't realize that a sleepover meant that you don't sleep. So I got tired, and the first thing I do was go to sleep. But obviously now that means that I was the one that they were going to
Mm.
play pranks on. And what they did was they put marshmallows in my hand because they wanted me to, like, obviously throw the marshmallow in my face. So they tried to tickle my face or whatever while I was holding marshmallows. But apparently I just started eating them. They'd put a marshmallow in my hand and I would eat it. And then I don't know how many marshmallows I ate, but I woke up because I threw something. Like I threw something so hard. I'm sleeping on my side, and I threw something so hard that the force of my arm hitting my chest is what woke me up. And then I had the taste of marshmallow in my mouth, and then everybody was on the other side of the room, like laughing, but their eyes were like huge, like what the hell? And then I had like half a marshmallow. Yeah, there was like I think I threw half a marshmallow at someone. I got stuck. Anyway, so I was like looking at this half marshmallow. And I'm like, guys, what the hell is going on? And they're like, no, I fell asleep. So they're giving me marshmallows. And I was I was such a party pooper. Like I was so tired and I was so upset. Like, I think I was like what, 7 or 8 at the time. I don't know. I'm like a child and I'm like so upset that they could have choked me because I was like, I'm asleep. What if I choked on
That's true.
marshmallow? I felt like I was so upset. Like they thought it was the funniest thing in the world that I'm sleep eating marshmallows, and I was like, these guys were trying to kill me. So I went over to Cherry's mom and I woke her up. Like, and this was like midnight. Like, I woke her mom up to go tell the kids to go to sleep on Cherry's birthday party.
Wow.
And I remember
You're
going,
such a
I
loser.
know, I know, I'm so embarrassed. I was such a loser. But I remember going to the bathroom and my eyes were bloodshot. Like, there was like
Ooh,
no white. Like, everything was like red.
gross.
I think that's just what happens if you're in like you got those different stages of sleep. I think if you're deep enough and you get pulled out very quickly, I think that your eyes just stay like that for a
Mm,
while. Because they're fine the next day after I slept.
yeah. My second theory for why I was so sleepwalky and whatever is kind of sad, but I think it's because I was so scared all the time. Like I didn't really enjoy going to bed because that's like when you feel most vulnerable. So I think in general, I was just a very restless sleeper because my mind wasn't really at rest
Oh,
most of the times. That's probably the reason possession is a little bit more interesting.
I'm sorry.
It's okay,
Possession in this case is
right?
happier.
Anyways,
Shame, Jess.
It's
I'm
okay. I mean, it's all
sorry.
good now. I sleep like a rock.
It's all good now. Yeah, you're making up for it.
I have two more things to talk about. I think this happened probably about maybe 3 years ago. I was definitely in university. I'm assuming about probably first or second year. And I was awake, definitely awake. I wasn't in a half awake, half asleep dream state. I was I was lying on my bed, but I was kind of half sitting up. My back was leaning against the wall, but my legs were straight out on the bed. And I was busy sending people messages talking about schoolwork and stuff. So I'd sent the last message and plugged my phone in, and I turned to put my phone on my side table, and that's when my bed started shaking. So
Oh
it
my
didn't like
gosh.
lift off the ground or anything. It's kind of like the type of shaking when someone shakes you to wake you up. It wasn't like a violent shake or anything, but it was hard enough for my body to move on the bed as well. Like if I looked down at my legs, I could see my legs shaking and moving from the force of the bed moving like that.
So you've had
I've
shaking
had
bed
shaking
stuff
bed
too.
stuff twice.
You did mention what? You did mention to me that your bed shook, but you didn't go
Yeah.
into detail.
So that's what happened. And I
Oh
think
my
mom was
gosh.
asleep at that time. Um,
What did you do?
I turned the lights off and I went to bed. I did nothing. I was just like
Yo, Jess, you
I
are on another level, hey?
I I looked at my
What the
legs. I saw my legs
hell?
shaking. When the bed stopped, I kind of looked around the room and then I went, huh. And then I got up, I switched my light off and I went to bed. And I slept very well.
Oh my God. Savage, Jess. You are such a
I mean,
savage.
my state of mind at the time was I'm a university student, it's late at night, I've got things due, I'm tired, I need to sleep, so I don't have time to deal with this right now. This happened a second time, I think probably last year, where my bed shook like that, but this time, um, like I'd had the lights off. Like I was literally, I'd just switched the light off, I'd gotten into bed, I'd put my blankets over me, and I could feel the bed shaking again. So I took my phone, I put the flash on, and as soon as I put the flash on, I could see the bed just stop shaking. Like when you see like the final jiggle, I guess you could say, just before it stopped.
Yeah,
So again, I was kind of just like, okay, whatever, I'll deal with it later, and I went to sleep. And
you're so
I think
savage.
this was probably like the final attempt at making like any sort of physical contact at me was when I was studying for exams and things in third and fourth year. I would stay up until like 11 to midnight making notes and trying to study. And multiple times I would feel someone poke me on my back.
Mm-mm.
It's like
Oh,
a
hell
man's
no.
big manly finger, not yes, it feels like
Chunky finger. Like a chunky,
a
knobby.
man finger.
Ugh.
But it's not just like
No.
it wasn't just like a tap.
No.
It's like it's like it pushed me hard enough for me to move forward slightly. So I'd turn around and of course there's
Mm-mm.
nothing there. And then I'd kind of just roll my eyes and be like, ugh, and I'd keep studying. Um, and a lot
No,
of
Jessica.
people like to um make excuses for that and be like, oh, it was a muscle twitch or I don't know something. There's a difference. You can feel the difference between a muscle twitch, someone tapping you, and someone poking you so hard your
Mm.
body physically moves forward.
Believe me, I struggle with muscle twitches a lot.
Mm.
They're very different.
So I think that probably happened about maybe 3 or 4 times towards the end of, I think it was last year, towards the end of last year, or the year, no, it was the year before, towards the end of 2018, when we were writing exams and things like that. It probably happened 3 or 4 times within like the last 6 months. Or probably within the last 3 months,
Wow.
because that's usually when you start preparing for exams and things.
Have you noticed it's when you were stressed though? Whenever you are stressed or in like a bad state of mind, that's when this stuff would happen. Same with me. Whenever I was feeling negative or when stuff was just really
Mm.
hectic in my life, that's when weird stuff at mom's house would happen to me. Like my bed, like levitating. I'd just gone
Mm.
through a breakup. And the other stuff, yeah. So it's like every single time you're in a negative mindset, that's when those things tend to get bad.
Well, if I'm being honest, I didn't. Okay, well, of course you do feel some kind of stress when it's around exam time because you don't want to fail and whatever. But like I never, even while I was studying and making notes that late at night, I never felt stressed about writing the exams or studying for the exams. But I mean, it was probably like a low key, like a last attempt at trying to get at me,
Mm,
which frickin' failed. So we have gotten the house blessed before to like try to get rid of these things, which does help. It did help for a very, very long time. I didn't feel any sort of thing watching me. I didn't have anything poke me, but that only works for a certain period of time. If you're going to bless an object
mm.
or a building, you have to do it regularly. Like probably, I would say,
Yeah, it's not like a do it
yeah,
once and
I
it's
would say
fixed.
like at least once a year, but you should probably do it like every 6 months. And I think the
Yeah.
first time, I can't remember what happened the first time we'd got it blessed, but I think the second time was the first time my bed shook. Um, I don't think we've done it again since then. We probably should. But yeah, again, I'm at the point where I'm like, ugh, whatever. So I keep saying to mom, I think they don't bother with me anymore because there's no reaction. So I think that's I think that's it. That's all that I can remember. Um, yeah, I think that's it.
So I do think that that pretty much covers it for this episode. Um, guys, thank you so much for listening. And in the next first-hand encounters episode, what should we call it? Encounters,
Uh,
experiences?
I don't know. I've been thinking about that. I can't think of like a unique, fun name for it.
So we need to find a name for whatever we call the episodes where we retell the stories you give us. So please let us know on our social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, or email it to us at deadcuriouspod@gmail.com. So guys, if you have a creepy story, give it to us and let us share it with the world. A lot of people are concerned about their identities and giving name. If you do not want to give your name, you do not have to. Just provide us with an alias so that you know it's your story
You
we're
don't even
telling.
have to come up with a completely different name. You can even just give us an initial, like R and J, for example. So you can come up with a name. Mhm.
Or I would be R
Yeah,
from PE. It's just so that you can hear your story being told and then we can put
yeah.
a name to the narrative.
And the more stories we get, the more interesting the episode will be for you guys. So please send your stories to us. We would love to read them. And I'm sure everyone would love to listen to them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this podcast anyway. So
Okay, guys, thanks so much for listening. And
we will
as
see you next
always,
time. Bye. I can't. What is the word I said? What?
mine was the light stuff. Mine was this entree.
Yours was the entree.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. When I was a kid, I was a
You were a
dick.
dick. You were a
I was
you
such
were a
a dick.
loser dick.
I was a real loser dick when I was a kid. Cherry, I don't think I ever apologized. If you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't ruin your
Well, they did
birthday.
try to choke you with marshmallow. Well, not intentionally, but
No, they didn't try to. No, I don't know. They just thought it would be funny. And that became a theme, by the way. Every time there was a slumber party, the joke was to always have marshmallows. Okay. Leafy, can you put the sound down a bit? Thanks. And the episode will be called
Yes.
Belinda.
Belinda blinked.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. No, she didn't. What should we call it? Encounters,
Uh,
experiences, ghost stories.
mm, uh, I sounded like what's her name from Bob's Burgers? Tina. No, Tina. Yeah, she goes.
Linda, Tina. Let me just quickly get our handles because I forgot our handles. Like I sometimes it's Dead Curious Pod and sometimes
Can't
it's just
we?
Dead Curious. So
Can't
we can
we
edit all this out.
like add all of those in the description of our podcast so you can like say the handles, go visit us on social media, then tell people they can see
You
in the just say
genius.
it like in every single